So lads, this is not a great look for the Indiana Fever organization. If you've got Caitlin Clark, the star of the Indiana Fever, she's going and seeing whatever about not seeing the Indiana Fever's doctors. Like, it is what it is with that. It is what it is. Like, I think a lot of players and teams get second opinions. But if you haven't seen here, Stephanie White says there's no update on Caitlin Clark or potential timeline. She met with another doctor, but White says she hasn't spoken with the trainer.
Without uttering a single word, the basketball legend who revitalized Indiana basketball just sent the biggest message in WNBA history. Following her most recent groin injury, Caitlin Clark, the face of women's basketball and the player who packs arenas like a Taylor Swift show, has reportedly severed her ties with the Indiana Fever's medical team.
Pretty much kind of leaked out the bag to the team that she was kind of going to get a second opinion. To me, an athlete like Caitlin Clark on her level, she should have been getting these second opinions. She should have been hearing from all these other doctors, man. But Stephanie White spoke to the media yesterday. She really didn't give a whole lot, but she did say that Caitlin Clark was in New York meeting with other doctors. Now, with all of that being said, what does the timetable look like to me for Caitlin Clark coming back? I keep telling y'all, around the 17th to the 30th of August.
Furthermore, it's past time that this organization was criticized for treating its generational talent like a character in another person's narrative. Here are the true behind-the-scenes activities at Gainbridge Fieldhouse and the reasons Caitlin Clark may be preparing to leave Indiana sooner rather than later.
She has met with a different doctor. And she won't even give an update to the team. Not, oh yeah, you know, she's met with a different doctor and we're waiting on an update. She's waiting, or not even, well, that's basically it. They're waiting on, oh, she's gone to a different doctor and they've heard nothing.
If you find it entertaining, kindly subscribe. In apparent annoyance, Caitlin Clark clutched her right groin as she hobbled off the court against the Connecticut Sun on July 15th. It wasn't only another wound. It was the tipping point in what some are referring to as a Kawhi Leonard scenario, in which a celebrity totally loses trust in the medical personnel on their team.
Caitlin Clark. Following a July 15th injury to her right groin, Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark underwent further medical evaluations earlier this week. The team can confirm that no additional injuries or damage were discovered through the evaluations. Clark will continue working with the Fever medical team on her recovery and rehabilitation, with the priority on her long-term health and well-being. There is no timetable available for Clark's return, and no additional details will be provided at this time. Any further updates will be shared as they become available. This
season, Clark has now sustained 4 different muscle issues: left quadriceps injury, left groin strain, and now a right groin strain. This injury parade is more than just poor luck for a player who had never missed a game because of an injury during her first WNBA season, or her collegiate career at Iowa. This pattern is blatant evidence of medical mismanagement.
The internet noticed something specific that Holly Rowe had to say on the broadcast. Holly Rowe said that before the last return after a quad injury, she had no practice time, which, if that's actually true, like if she wasn't practicing, if she wasn't going full speed, then why was she returning to the court? And that's actually something that I pointed out. I believe it was Scott Agnes reported that Caitlin had gone full speed in practice, but there was only one practice that she had gone full speed, and then she returned to play.
When Clark was hurriedly recovered from her prior groin injury, only to aggravate it within games of her return, it was the tipping point. Clark reportedly told team management, "I'm getting my own doctors." According to people familiar with the matter, "I'm not going to use our physicians." She refuses to provide the team's training personnel with updates after meeting with outside doctors.
Clark's team has made it known, we are going to be holding her out until she is fully recovered. We are not going to be rushing her back at all. After taking Indiana Fever's advice, eventually Caitlin Clark needs to take matters into her own hands, make decisions for herself, and I believe that's what we are seeing with the team that she now has surrounding her.
Let's examine the information that the Indiana Fever would prefer you not to see. The chronology of Clark's injuries reads like a medical catastrophe. She was unable to attend the exhibition opening on May 3rd due to a painful left leg. He suffered a left quad injury on May 26, which prevented her from playing in her debut game. He had a left groin injury in June that kept her out of 5 games. She sustained a right groin injury in the closing minutes of the game against the Connecticut Suns on July 15th. Additionally, the Indiana Fever stated on July 24th that no further information would be given and that there would be no time frame for her return. 11 games of the regular season were missing, in addition to the final of the Commissioner Cup. For comparison, recurrent soft tissue injuries that should be avoidable with appropriate conditioning and medical attention have caused the WNBA to miss almost half of the season.
We're speculating that Caitlin Clark injury could be much worse than expected. You know, these type of injuries and the way she's been getting these injuries is not normal. To have these strains back to back to back like this, and I said this before, Caitlin Clark's mobility is off, bro. I believe she might have came back too fast from the first. We all know the first one went down around the 25th of May. Then she came back and got re-injured around the 4th of July to the 5th, somewhere up in there of July, and then that brings us until now.
This is where it becomes quite telling. Though sharing the results with the Fever's medical staff, Clark went to New York to get second opinions. Coach Stephanie White said that she hadn't discussed what Clark's outside doctors found with the trainers. It's not merely an injury when your best player is basically making bad medical choices. That has to do with trust being totally destroyed. Fans believed they were getting a better player than Christy Sides when the Fever hired Stephanie White. White arrived with credentials, including a championship ring, 2023 WNBA Coach of the Year, a player's fever, and an understanding of winning. Instead, they received a coach who seemed intent on making things better.
The only good news of today, she has abandoned the Indiana Fever medical staff, and I'm happy about it. I'm happy about it. She's pulling a Kawhi Leonard, what he did with the San Antonio Spurs, letting it be known, hey, look, I'll get back to y'all when I'm ready. I'm going with my own medical staff. Y'all can beat it, kick rocks, and I stand with you, Caitlin Clark.
This is the unpleasant reality that no one wants to acknowledge. Caitlin Clark was a tool that Christy Sides was skilled with. You can discuss Sid's other coaching shortcomings as you like. She did, however, grasp one essential idea. Instead of forcing a generational talent into your system, you should design it around them. Let Clark be Clark Sides. She handed the ball to her. Watch the magic happen as you let her lead the attack at her own speed. The outcomes included selling out venues everywhere they played, breaking several WNBA records with their inaugural season numbers, and making the playoffs for the first time since 2016. White's most recent having 2 primary ball handlers and expecting Clark to play off the ball are comments that essentially miss what makes Clark unique. Magic Johnson is under pressure from the defenders, therefore you don't take the ball away from him. Michael Jordan is being double-teamed, therefore you don't bench him. Furthermore, your system is unable to support greatness, so you don't make Caitlin Clark a role player.
The problem of this team is Stephanie White. It's Stephanie White. It's not Caitlin Clark. A great player don't all suddenly sucks. That doesn't happen. It's strategic. And everybody's saying that they played better without Caitlin Clark. No. Actually, even this loss, Caitlin Clark gives them a better chance. They're under 500 without Caitlin Clark.
The Fever's July 22nd defeat against the New York Liberty provided the most incriminating proof of Clark's annoyance. Mages of Clark and her agent in the Barclays Center tunnel with Liberty coach Sandy Brondello and stars Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu looked to be from a private meeting. This wasn't your typical post-game chat with your agent in attendance to speak with the coaching staff and top players of another team. It is a business meeting concerning your future. IT was really evident from the optics. The Liberty were pitching for when Clark became available, while the Fever were still mishandling their hero. According to several sources, Clark has effectively sacked the Fever's medical staff, team in support of her personal physicians. She is refusing to discuss the results with the team's trainers while seeing experts in New York. This degree of medical revolt is unheard of in women's basketball and is a direct reflection of Kawhi Leonard's exit from San Antonio. Experts have noted that Clark's history of recurrent quad and groin ailments points to either inadequate rehabilitation or subpar fitness regimens.
But this is how it starts in sports. This is how it starts in the NFL. This is how it starts in the NBA. When you start seeing the wheels in motion, there's signs. There's signs before eventually a player gets traded. A player eventually marks their next destination. The Indiana Fever, you're on notice. You're on notice. You better recognize what you've got going on, the asset in front of you, and you do whatever you have to do to correct what is happening.
She continues to sustain the same kinds of injuries, which suggests that the underlying problem has never been adequately addressed. When the renowned trainer of Michael Jordan expressed worries about groin injuries in professional athletes, it raised questions about whether Clark's medical staff is aware of the unique requirements of her style of play. There is unambiguous expert consensus. Clark's conditioning and injury prevention have been handled amateurishly by the Fever. Let's discuss the true price of Clark's absence. The Fever are a whole different team when she is playing. His variations aren't merely organic. They arise from a player being pushed to play in a system that doesn't play to her abilities after being hurried back from injuries. Including recent games in which they appeared good but not championship caliber, the Fever are 4-6 without Clark this season. That's what separates a postseason squad from a team vying for a championship. And the key question is if they can maintain their superstars' happiness and health.
There. Why Caitlin Clark was injured is a real thing. It's not just because she's a good player and people go hard against her. In my opinion, there's some other stuff going on there. A lot of pressure to put people in seats, to put eyeballs on the game. You come back a little early. Teams, as they should, play hard against her. Some teams go over the line and refs seem to look the other way. In my opinion, you had some of that going on with some other talent in the league as well last year. But this is different. Stephanie White needs some blame as well. The team seems a little rudderless.
Fans of the Fever don't want to hear this unpleasant reality. Caitlin Clark has no debt to Indiana. She has already brought them millions of dollars in income, sold-out crowds, national television ratings, and postseason participation. What has she received back from the organization? A string of injuries, unreliable coaching, and unreliable medical personnel. The Fever have demonstrated that they are unable of building a team around a superstar. Instead of trying to enhance Clark's influence, the coach they chose wants to lessen it. Instead of being a part of the system, Clark ought to be the system. 90% of her time on the court should be spent with the ball in her hands. The offense should proceed at the speed she specifies. Each additional player ought to be selected according to how well they enhance her abilities. AS is an alternative. White is attempting to mold Clark into her ideal basketball player. Additionally, the outcomes are self-evident.
Remember Peyton Manning when he called his own plays? He said, Tony Dungy, you run the defense, I run the offense. That's what exactly needs to happen in Indianapolis. Caitlin Clark is literally Peyton Manning. She should be calling the plays. She should run the offense. And Stephanie White call the defense.
The fact that Clark is currently in her prime is the most annoying aspect of the whole circumstance. At her prime athletic age of 23, she has already demonstrated her ability to dominate at the professional level instead of figuring out basic medical care and coaching philosophy. Indiana should be constructing a championship challenger around her throughout these years. Clark's departure is getting closer with each game as she misses. They are so setting themselves up for when Clark becomes available. They have players capable of winning championships, skilled coaches, and a team that understands how to make the most of elite talent. Above all, they wouldn't waste Clark's best years attempting to change her into someone she isn't.
Is a WNBA team that have been very, very, very much in, like, they made it clear that they want Caitlin Clark, or they're eventually going to want Caitlin Clark. Along those lines, they made it very, very clear. And that team is the New York Liberty. I think there is a 50-50 chance Caitlin Clark leaves Indiana after her rookie season. No, after rookie season, after rookie contract is up.
There is more to Clark's refusal to speak with the Fever's medical staff than this most recent injury. It's about a habit of disrespect that began when the coaching staff hurried her back from earlier injuries and continues with their inability to employ her effectively. It's not a passing argument when a player of Clark's caliber loses faith in the organization's fundamental operations, which keep them strong and set them for success. They have forgotten the most crucial regulation in professional sports because they are so preoccupied with their procedures and systems. When you have a once-in-a-generation talent, you make every effort to ensure their happiness and well-being.
This is the first time I haven't felt like a young body that can run around and sprint every day and just continue to do that, Clark said in an event during All-Star Weekend per Glamour. Being a professional athlete, you really have to take care of both your body and your mind. It's been a journey learning about that.
Clark's body language conveys information that her words in public cannot. Following her most recent injury, she was obviously upset, covering her head with a towel and displaying obvious annoyance. She is obtaining medical advice without consulting any team members. She's meeting with other organizations in secret. These are not the behaviors of a player who has made a long-term commitment to her current circumstances. In her system, White keeps talking about Clark playing off the ball. Every setback causes the medical team to lose the trust of its superstars. She shouldn't have to jeopardize her health by seeing a doctor she doesn't trust. She shouldn't be required to represent a company that doesn't value their possessions. For Indiana, the decision is straightforward. They are currently making every effort to thwart the greatest thing that has ever occurred to their brand. So either develop around Caitlin Clark in the proper manner or watch her take her talent somewhere that will. Caitlin Clark's patience has definitely run out as the clock is ticking.